So I hope you can see my screen. I will ask one of you to actually tell me whether you can see my screen. Masinde and Ainea, can you see my screen? And today CIT mko wengi sana. Masinde, can you hear? Can you see my screen? Or somebody can answer that. Lazima Masinde ndio ajibu. Joseph Kamau, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, can see.
Thank you. Now, allow me to start the class, bearing in mind that at least we have started very late, of which the reason is because number one is that we had a meeting in at the main campus, and now I decided that I'm not going to have my class at the main campus because you know the lecturers are there in one room and noises are there. I mean, we have noises from all direction. So I decided that I'm going to come home and have my class. But unfortunately, when I got home, I had some technical errors, which I have managed to do what? To fix. Now, that apart, let's start our class. Today we are focusing on topic 4, and we are focusing on a topic known as listening skills. Listening skills. Let me zoom so that some people can see, those who are using mobile phones. Now, when you talk about listening, listening is simply a process. But sometimes you might see as if it is not a process. You might take it as if it's not a process, it's automatic. From today, henceforth, you must realize that listening is a process, and the listening process has 4 stages. Number 1, it has receiving. So number 1, you need to receive a message. Number 2 is attending to the message. Then after attending to the message, you assign a meaning to that particular message, and then you have to remember. We have said that the process of listening is, it has 4 stages. Number 1, you have to receive the message. 2, you need to attend to the message. 3, you have to assign meaning. And 4, you have to remember the message. So an ideal listening situation, all these stages will be completed. Those 4 stages that we've just mentioned must be completed. If listening is ineffective, however, the process might break down at any stage. So in other words, we are saying that you cannot jump one stage and go to the next. For example, you cannot jump the receiving stage and go to attending to the message. Or you miss the attending and you start remembering. It cannot happen like that. So it's a stage, it's a step-by-step thing. Number 1, you must receive the message first. So in any one day, we receive more messages that we need or can process. For example, since you woke up in the morning, there are so many messages you have read, some you have written. There are so many people you have heard. Maybe when you woke up in the morning, the first thing that woke you up was the neighbor's radio that was playing very loudly. Or maybe what woke you up was simply a car that was hooting loudly along the streets or along the road. And so you woke up. And when you woke up, maybe you said hi to your friend or to your roommate or to your neighbor, and you had some few chats here and there. So in other words, in short, I'm saying that in one day, we receive more messages that we need or can process. So some of these messages include commercials. Maybe you switched on to Classic 105 and there were so many commercials. Commercials, I mean adverts. Maybe you heard someone shouting along the corridor, or maybe when you are locating your class in the morning, those who are in the main campus, You could hear a lecturer giving instructions to the students, or maybe you heard some people having a conversation in a matatu, and so on and so forth. So we hear a lot of messages, but we cannot listen to all of them. We cannot listen to all of those messages. So therefore, when you talk about listening, we can talk about two types of listening, or maybe we can talk about two things, hearing and listening. So there is a difference between hearing and listening. To hear is passive. Passive, I mean you don't internalize the message. So when you are hearing, you don't internalize the message. Like for example, when you say, I heard some people making noise, or I heard a gunshot, it is just hearing. It is simply passive. When you boarded a matatu, say for example, when you're coming to class, or when you are going to see a friend of yours, there is a lot of music there. So if you are paying much attention to the music and to the words, then you are listening. But if you are not paying attention to the words, to the music, to the beats, your attention was maybe on something else. Maybe you are typing a message to a friend, so your attention was not on the music. Then you are hearing. You could hear a loud music with vibrations inside the matatu and so on and so forth. So there is a difference between hearing and listening, and we have said that hearing is passive. You don't internalize the message, but listening is active. Listening is active. You have to listen to the words. What is the meaning of the words? And so you put the words into your mind, so that whenever you are at home, you can repeat the song, you can sing it, because you captured the words. So when you're hearing, you don't capture anything. You don't internalize the message. So that is the difference between these two things, or these two concepts, that is hearing and listening. Then apart from listening, receiving the message, there is attending to the message. That we are able to focus our attention on a particular stimulus. A stimulus is anything. When you talk about stimulus, it is anything that captures your attention. For example, maybe coffee. When you get into, maybe for example, when you get into a hotel and you are shivering, you are feeling cold, and you want coffee, and then you see someone sipping a very hot coffee, you will be attracted to that person simply because you want to feel like them. You want to feel warm. So the stimulus in this particular situation is the coffee. For example, when you are hungry, the stimulus is food. Anything that can be eaten, you feel like eating. So stimulus can be anything. Anything that attracts your attention is called a stimulus. So we are saying that we are able to focus our attention on a particular stimulus, that is attending. For example, if you are in a dorm, or if you are in a hostel, one of the rooms in the hostel, in the early evening, and you hear all kind of noises, you hear students shouting to each other, you hear music playing, you hear doors being banged, and so on and so forth. However, you may do what? You may hear, or you may listen to a song, a specific song that you like, maybe from a neighbor, your neighboring or your dorm mate. A very nice song singing. I mean, a very nice song being played. Your attention may be captured by that particular song, and you might find yourself doing what? Singing along with that particular to that particular song. So your attention is actually glued to that particular song. By so doing, then you are attending to the song. Remember, there is a lot of things that are happening along the corridor. There is somebody banging the door. Students are conversing as as they go to the bathroom or something of the sort. There are others asking whether you have done the assignment or no. People, there is a lot of activities that are going on, including the song that is being played by your neighbor. And so you decide, not deciding, you pay attention to that particular song. By paying attention to that particular song is what we call attending. So the ability to focus on a perception is called selective perception. For example, you can be in a market, and you know, when you go to a market, there are various things that are happening. Buyers are buying, sellers are shouting, 5 bob, or 10 bob, or 50 bob. There are people, there are matatus passing along the road in a market. There are carts being pushed everywhere. But you see maybe a jazz. Somebody is selling a Manchester United jazz, or maybe an Arsenal jazz. So your focus is your attention is focused to that particular jazz. So you forget about everything that is around you. That one now we can call it selective perception. It's selective perception. So for example, studying with music, blaring in the background, that is another thing. You can study with the music blaring in the background, and your attention is focused into that particular music. That one is simply called selective perception or selective attention. You are actually paying attention to that particular music. Then after attending to the music, that is paying attention to the music or to the message or to the stimuli, then we assign the meaning. And assigning the meaning is when we decide to attend to that particular message. So our next time, when we decide to attend to a certain message, our next step is to assign it a meaning. So this involves what? Assimilating the message. That is making it part of our knowledge and experience. So to assign meaning, we must decide what the message, whether the message is relevant or not. So in assigning meaning, we evaluate. We weigh what the speaker has said against personal beliefs we hold. We question the speaker's motives. We wonder what has been omitted, and we challenge the validity of the ideas. That is now doing what we call assigning meaning. For example, I might tell you something, and then you weigh the message. You ask yourself, is it against my belief as a Muslim? Is it against my belief as a Christian? Is it against my culture? You start assigning meaning to the message. That is called assigning the meaning. Yaani mwalimu amesema hivi, lakini pia unajiuliza kile amesema, is it workable in my situation? Is it against my beliefs? Is it against my tradition? Is it against my culture? Is it against my religion? Does it conform well with my religion and culture? That is assigning meaning to the message that has been put across by a speaker. Then lastly, we have remembering. And remembering is the process, this is the final step in the process of listening. So remembering is a selective process of determining what is important and what is not important. For example, in this particular class, there are things that I'm going to say, and you are going to decide, is it important? Is it not important? So you focus on the most important points. So as students, few of you record the whole of the instructors, lecture. For example, in this particular class, there are people who are writing notes. There are those who are not writing. They are waiting for my notes. I release my notes for them. There are those who are writing short notes, well and good, but there are those who are not writing anything. And these people who are writing short notes, they are not writing everything that I'm saying. So in other words, we are saying that as students, few of you record the whole of a lecture. Instead, you take notes that helps you remember what has been taught. So for effective listening actually to take place, all these stages must be passed through. You cannot jump one stage and move to the next. So it is easy, however, to give the appearance of listening without listening at all. Yeah, there are people who give an appearance of listening in a physical class. Unapata mtu anajifanya amesikiza na hakuna kitu anasikiza. Na hata ana nod, you are nodding your head to show that you are in agreement with the speaker. But generally speaking, your mind is so far away. So there are people who can do that. They can fake attention. You are faking an attention to the message, but you are not there. Your minds are so far away from that particular lesson or from that particular issue. So the extent to which you complete the steps in all the listening process will depend on who and what you are listening to, as well as how important the message is to you. So listening is very important, and when you listen, you understand. If you don't listen, you don't understand anything. If you listen again, you will ask questions, and questions are there to do what? To clarify an issue that you did not understand. Questions are there to reinforce what you have understood. So listening, again, let's define the term listening. I think we have started with the steps instead of defining first. So listening, number one, this is the definition, is the ability to accurately receive and interpret the messages in the communication process. Remember the first lesson, we looked at the communication process, and we said it starts with the sender, and it finishes with what we call the feedback. The sender, and then it ends with the feedback. So listening, we are saying that it is the ability to accurately receive and interpret messages in a communication process. And when you listen effectively, you understand and you respond effectively. Kuna watu ambao huwa wanakimbilia kujibu swali na hawajashika message. They have not yet internalized the message, but they are rushing to answer to the message. There are people who don't even listen. When you start even talking, they have a question already. And when they ask the question, it is not in line with what was about to be said. So listening is a key to all effective communication, because without the ability to listen effectively, messages are easily misunderstood. So a good listener will listen not only to what is being said, but also to what is left unsaid. For example, I might tell you something, you listen. But apart from listening or from getting the message that I've told you, you can even read between the message what is wrong. So a good listener is the one who not only listen to what is being said, but also to what has been left unsaid or only partially said. So effective listening involves observing body language. For example, if it was a physical class, you will observe my body language and observe what is coming from my mouth. And when you look at my body language and what comes from my mouth, it might be something that is not, they are not synonymous. They are not going hand in hand. My nonverbals are totally different with what I'm saying. And therefore, the message, there is inconsistencies. Therefore, you can actually say that you can read between the lines. So then we look at the 10 principles of listening. We want to look at the 10 principles of listening. And one of the principles of listening is you are told, stop talking. Do not talk, listen. Like as we speak right now, we are having a class. And I know somewhere, somebody is seated somewhere. He's listening to a reggae music. He's listening to a friend. And you are talking all along. So are you in class, or are you part of this class, or you are part of your friends? Maybe you have just received visitors right now. So you are serving them a drink, a cold drink. You are asking them how was the trip, and still you are in class. Then you are not listening. You have failed. You are not listening. You are just wasting your bundles and your internet. So when the speaker is speaking, number one thing that you must do is stop talking. So don't talk, listen. So when somebody else is talking, listen to what they are saying. Again, do not interrupt them. You know, there are people who, when they start talking, they will start from very far. They will beat around the bush before they tell you the reason as to why they came to see you. So don't disrupt them, because people are totally different. Listen to what they are saying. Do not interrupt. Do not talk over them or finish their sentences for them. Somebody said, I was coming, and then I met, then you finish the statement for them. Don't finish statements for them. Stop, just listen. So when the other person has finished talking, you may need to clarify to ensure that you have received the message accurately. Yani, when the lecturer is done teaching, you can ask a question to verify that whatever you listened is exactly, or to verify whether you have understood the message clearly. So number one principle of listening is stop talking. Number two principle of talking, prepare yourself to listen. And how do you prepare yourself to listen? Relax. Relax, focus on the speaker. Let your focus be on the speaker. Put other things aside. Put other things out of your mind. Maybe you had some things that were disturbing you, issues to do with school fees. Where will I get school fees from? Next week, we are starting an assignment. We are starting a CAT. Who you started. Now, such things will hinder you from understanding what you are being told. So put other things out of mind. Relax yourself. That is, prepare yourself to listen. Because the human mind is easily distracted by other things throughout a conversation or throughout. Sometimes it can be lunch. Wengine wetu hatujaenda lunch, but you are disrupted by that. You can't listen. Sometimes you are looking at the time. I'm supposed to meet somebody in town, especially today is on a Friday, and you are looking at the watch. This lecturer will finish at what time? So you are not listening. You are not prepared to listen. So it is better you go and meet your friends instead of lying to yourself that you are listening. Number three, put the speaker at ease. When you talk about putting the speaker at ease, you are told that help the speaker to feel free to speak. Help the speaker to feel free to speak. Remember their needs and concerns. Like, for example, if you're a student and you come to see me, I will give you the time to speak. First of all, you will introduce yourself. My name is Peter Njoroge, and I'm your student. I am doing certificate in hospitality management, or I'm doing certificate in information technology. I have an issue with my assignment. So I will help you to speak. I will keep you at ease. I will make you feel free to speak to me. So that is how it is. And this one, again, to put the speaker at ease also means nod your head to show that you are listening, not to fake attention, or to fake that you are listening. Nod your head or use other gestures or words to encourage them to continue speaking. Again, you are being told to put the speaker at ease, maintain the eye contact. Sometimes you go to some offices and you find a lecturer or the person you are speaking to is telling you he's very busy searching for something on the drawers, and then he's telling you, talk. I'm listening to you. Or he's brushing his shoes and he's telling you, continue, I'm listening to you. No, that person is not listening to you because he's doing some other things, and you are busy seated on the sofa or on the seat. You are busy explaining. He's not maintaining the eye contact. He's not maintaining the eye contact. His head is down. He's brushing his shoes. You are seated on the seat. He's telling you, continue talking, I'm listening. That person is not listening. He's just trying to show you. It's a kind of, it's a way of telling you, maliza haraka uende. Just finish what you are saying and disappear from this office or disappear from this place. Again, when you talk about maintaining the eye contact, it doesn't mean staring at someone. Some people confuse this. So if George, you are told maintain an eye contact, it doesn't mean stare at Stacy. You're staring at Stacy instead of maintaining the eye contact. That one is not the same. Then prepare, another principle of listening is remove distractions. Focus on what is being said. Don't doodle. Don't shuffle papers. Look out out the window. Pick your fingernails or similar. Avoid unnecessary interruptions. Pulling seats back and forth. Checking your watch. Checking your what we call your phone. And maybe, for example, you've been called. You have been asked for a date. You get into that date, your phone is ringing every now and then, you get out to pick your calls. That one is not right. And maybe you are discussing business, or you are discussing how you will join a certain tertiary institution, but your phone keeps on ringing. Excuse me becomes the order of the day. That one can actually make the other person angry, and maybe he might not consider you for such an opportunity. Then number 5, you are told emphasize, and here you're being told try to understand the other person's point of view. Look at an issue from their perspective. If you are a student and you're complaining, maybe, for example, you are not able to get the notes, or maybe you are not able to do something, I should try and understand you at your point of view. I should try and put myself in your shoes, in short. Put yourself in the shoes of the person talking to you. So let go of preconceived ideas. Have an open mind. And number 6, you're being told be patient. Remember, we said that there are some people when they come with a complaint or they have an issue, they start from a very far end. Or when I talk about starting from a very far end, they beat around the bush before they come to the point. Maybe, for example, it is Joseph who is coming to see me because of a certain, maybe he failed an exam and he wants to apply for a special exam. He starts telling me, or he starts the story by telling me when he joined Zetech University, how many they are in there at home. Maybe he's the firstborn. You start from very far before you arrive to the point. So as a listener, I should be very patient with you. Listen to you until the end. But others will start doing what? We'll start forcing you. Can you get to the point? Get to the point. I don't have all the day, or I don't have all the time. That is very wrong. So avoid also personal prejudice. Avoid personal prejudice. For example, don't say that this is a motivational speaker. For example, if this is a motivational speaker and he comes from maybe from Central, and maybe the first time you had a motivational speaker from Central, you didn't like it, or from the Luo land, or from Nyanza, you didn't like it. So anytime you see a motivational speaker from those end, you don't like listening to them, because the first one, you did not like him. So that one is personal prejudice. And you might say speakers or motivational speakers from Central or from Nyanza province, they are not good, or from Ukambani County, or not Ukambani County, from Kitui County, they are not effective. So anytime you hear there is a speaker coming from Kitui County, you tend to do what? To have an attitude about towards their message, even before seeing them. So everybody has a different way of speaking. Some people are, for example, more nervous or shy than others. Some have regional accent. You'll hear people having different accents, or make excessive arm movement. Kuna watu ambao wakiongea wanarusha mikono iko kwa hewa tu. Ama body movement. Some people like to pace while talking. Others like to sit still while talking. So focus on what is being said and try to ignore the styles of delivery. For example, if you order a pizza and it is brought by a taxi, or it is brought by what we call a motorbike, it doesn't matter who brings the pizza. What matters is the pizza that you ordered. So in other words, we are saying, ignore the styles of delivery, focus on the message. Number 8, listen to the tone. And when you're listening to the tone, you are listening to the volume and tone. They both add what someone is saying. A good speaker will use both volume and is also going to use the tone to their advantage. And the advantage is to keep the audience attentive. For example, you will hear a speaker speaking with a very low tone. A very low tone is not good, because it can make someone not listen to you. Instead, they start sleeping. So a good speaker uses volume and tone. Others, they maintain the tone. If they started with a very high tone, it will be high tone until the end. So everybody will use pitch. Everybody will use a tone. Everybody will use a volume of voice in a certain situation. And this helps you to understand the emphasis of what is being said. For example, I might talk about the assignment that I gave last week. There is a tone that I will use that will tell you as a listener, hiyo kitu niko serious. That is a serious issue. There is a tone that I will use that when you gauge the tone and the volume, it will tell you that we are on the right course. We are on the right way. So then number 9 is listen for ideas, not just words. There are people who just listen they just listen for words, but not ideas. And then lastly, we are told wait and watch for nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication, we are talking about gestures, we are talking about facial expressions, we are talking about eye movement. They can all be very important. For example, if you are conducting a business with someone, you have just met someone on Facebook, he's telling you that he does this particular business, he sells plots of lands, or he sells what we call cars from Japan. He imports cars from Japan and he sells them in Kenya and all across the world or across Africa. When you meet this person for the first time, because in Kenya we have so many con men and so many con women, we don't even call them con women, we call them con artists. We call them con artists. And these people, they have mastered the art of conning people. So therefore, for you to know that you are being conned, you have to look at the gestures. You have to look at the facial expression. You also need to look at the eye movements and focus on the words that are being said. And if you are attentive, these people will not steal from you. They will not steal from you. But you realize that many people, they are never attentive to the message. They are never attentive to the gestures, facial expressions, and eye movement. You know, initially when I was very young, the con men and the con artists, they used to dress in a way that you could even tell that these are con men and con artists. They would wear maybe tattered clothes, they are dirty, they don't look credible, but now they have mastered the art. They wear suits, they drive big cars from car hires. They wear very nice shoes, a very good golden watch. They carry things like very nice tablets, Samsung, and so on and so forth. And then they come to you in the name of business, but they are con artists. So nowadays, what can help you as a communication student? It's the gestures that they are using. It's the facial expression. When you maintain eye contact, you will see their eyes moving around. And that one can tell you that these people are con artists. But if you are poor in that, then you will be conned throughout your life. So you have to be very careful. And that is why we are learning communication skills. So good listening skills also have benefits in our lives, including number one, there is a greater number of friends and social networks. If you're a good communicator, you're going to get so many friends. You're going to get a very large social network if you're a good communicator and a good listener. And good communicator does not mean communicating through the word of mouth. Also, as a good communicator, you must also be a good listener. It has also improved our self-esteem. It has also improved our confidence. There is also what we call higher grades at school and in academic work, and even better health and general well-being. So studies have shown that whereas speaking raises blood pressure, listening brings it down. Speaking raises blood pressure, but listening brings it down. That's why when you are told a problem solved, a problem shared is half solved. It simply means that when you go and listen to someone, say for example, you have gone through a very serious problem, yani umepitia maisha kali sana, So if you listen to someone, you'll be able to cool down your blood pressure. Your blood pressure will go down. But when you talk about that issue, when you keep talking, it actually raises your blood pressure. But when you listen, it lowers your blood pressure. So listening for information, you're going to look at that. And then let's look at barriers to effective listening. Please remember we talked about noise. And when you talk about noise, we are not talking about the usual noise, even though it is part of it. Noise is anything that interferes with communication. And when you talk about listening, listening is part of the communication process. Listening is part of the communication process. So don't say, this teacher is talking about noise that interferes with communication. Is listening communication? Yes, listening is part of the communication process. And therefore, there are barriers to effective listening. And these barriers, they are distractions. Distractions, for example, they can be physical. Physical distraction is, for example, you are studying this particular unit, and where you are seated is in a bar. it's in a bar, kwa sababu umepewa wifi free of charge pale kwa pub, hapo ndio umekaa. That is physical distraction. And there are people ordering drinks, ordering all manner of drinks. There is a what we call very loud music there. So that is physical distraction. Or maybe there is a construction that is going on close to where you are seated. Or maybe there are vehicles that are passing there hooting, and the makangas, they are there shouting, mbao tao, eh? So in other words, physical distraction is one of them. Eh? Then we also have mental distractions. You are in class, but you are thinking about how you are going to, how you will go to town to attend to a certain bash or to attend to a certain occasion. That is mental distraction. So your minds are not in class. They have already shifted to that particular occasion. Then you also have auditory. Auditory is listening barriers. Maybe you have a problem with your ears. You don't get the message right. Someone has to shout. And also we have visual. Visual those who have problems with their eyes, you can't see clearly. Then we also have another barrier to effective listening. Number 2 is excessive attachment to personal beliefs and values. Maybe you are a Kisi, or maybe you are a Luya, or maybe you are a Muslim, or maybe you are a Christian. So suppose, for example, a Christian is praying, and maybe you are a Muslim. I'm just giving an example. These are just an example. So because of the personal beliefs and values, you tend to ignore that person. Something like that. Eh? So sometimes we tend to ignore some things based on our beliefs and values. Number 3 is also faking attention. There are people who are very good at faking attention. You fake an attention that you are listening to which you are not. Also, we have emotions. There are people who are very emotional. When you tell them, they become emotional, they become angry, they can hit you, or they start shedding tears. So emotion is one of the things that can become a barrier to effective listening. Some people are very emotional. That when you tell them something, they become angry. Have you ever tried to, for example, 2 people are fighting. Have you ever tried to go and separate them or talk to them? They don't listen to you. And whatever you are saying is not even getting into their minds because they are angry. It's only that when they calm down, you can talk to them. But at that point, when they are angry, you cannot say anything. They will not listen to you. Then number 5 is noise. We say that noise is anything that interferes with communication. We also have fear. Fear is another thing, is a greater barrier to listening. People who are afraid during conversation are not likely to listen. They become defensive and they tend to argue. For example, when a lady is maybe arguing, talking with a gentleman, because this gentleman wants to show the lady that he knows much, and the lady wants to tell the gentleman that us also, we know much than you do. Or we ladies, we know much than you do men. So it might become a fight. It might become an argument. And this argument, if not so much, if this argument is not so much controlled, it might get to a fight. Then we also have what we call trying to listen to more than one conversation at a time. No matter how, there are some people who say that they can multitask. They can listen to 3, 4 things. You can listen to music. You can listen to a lecture. You can listen to to a matatu, maybe you are waiting for a certain matatu or a train. That one, no. If you try listening to more than one conversation at a time, you will get lost in between. That's another barrier to effective listening. Then there is lack of interest. People don't want to listen to you. You are not interested in the topic. You are not interested in the issue. You are not interested with the topic being discussed. So you are becoming bored. The fact that you become bored, it simply means that it's a barrier to effective communication. Then lack of focus. So lack of focus simply means not focusing and being easily distracted. Like for example, when you fiddle, that is fiddling your hair, fingers, a pen, etc. Or gazing out of the window, or focusing on objects other than the speaker. That is lack of focus. Then lastly, we looked at this one, having a closed mind. Having a closed mind is like the way we say, like for example, I'm just giving an example. Maybe you have been told that the friend that you are working with, or that person that you want to make your wife, is not a good friend. And to say the truth, maybe he's not a good friend, but you say, and you decide, I will not listen to anybody. I will not listen to anybody. Sometimes in Kiswahili we say, come rain, come sunshine. I will not listen to anybody. That is my position. So that is having a closed mind. Maybe these people have got a point that will save you for the rest of your lifetime. But now you have closed mind that what I know is what I know. I will not listen to anything that tries to change my mind. Now that is having a closed mind. As far as you are making a choice, also listen to ideas. Listen to some instructions from other people. From those instructions, you can sit down and start evaluating those instructions or those ideas. They might save you a great deal of time, a great deal of money. Maybe you are being conned. Maybe there is a con artist here who wants to sell you a matatu that does not exist. And someone is telling you that is a con man. It is good that you listen to them. They might save you a great deal of money. So in other words, never have a closed mind. Even if you have made a decision, always have an open mind. Get to hear from people, evaluate the decisions, or evaluate the answers, or evaluate the instructions that they give you, and then finally make the right judgment based on the information that you have gathered from people. So this is just a summary. Listening more effectively, we have said, prepare yourself to listen. Listen for the main idea, listen for supporting details, link introduction with conclusion, recognize context clues, and take notes. A good listener takes notes. Then the question is, are you a good listener? Are you a good listener? Mahali uko, kwa sababu sikuoni. Are you a good listener? If you are a good listener, then you have some notes that you have taken. If you are a bad listener, then you have not taken any notes. That marks the end of today's lesson. Unless there is a question, I will stop there. Any question? And as we talk about, anyway, yeah, any question? That one I will come to it later. Any question? There is no question. If there is no question, then today's topic notes, which is topic 4. Today's topic notes, which is topic 4, I've already unleashed them. You can download them as we speak right now. Hizo notes nimezifungulia. Unaweza kufanya nini? Unaweza kuzi download. You can download those notes. I've unleashed them. Those who are using laptops, you can just go and download the notes. First of all, you have to refresh your page, and then you can download topic 4 notes. And the next thing is that there is a discussion forum there that you need to discuss. So what you do is go read the question and then do the discussion forum. And lastly, there is quiz 4 for you there. Remember, we are in week 6, but now we are in topic 4. Now there is quiz 4. So quiz 4 is there. Just do that particular quiz. Apart from there, there is an assignment that I gave last week. That assignment, as we speak right now, you have 1 hour, 21 minutes to do it. You have 1 hour, 21 minutes to do it. That is 1 hour, 21 minutes to 5. So 5 ikifika, your assignment haitafunguka. So I'm reminding those, if you know that you have joined us today, there is assignment 1 there that needs your attention, and you only have 1 hour, 21 minutes to do that particular assignment. Apart from that, I know some of you are waiting for the attendance password. That's where I'm getting, so that you can tick your attendance and disappear. There are people who are waiting for the attendance. Once you tick your attendance, you disappear. You don't even do the discussion forum. You don't even do what? You don't even attend to the quiz. Because today is Friday, you always disappear, or you always disappear every Friday. So there is a password I'm sharing right away. Yeah, I've shared a password there. So make sure that you use the password to tick your register. And if there is no any question, I will leave you for the remaining around 1 hour, 1 hour, 20 minutes to do the activities that are there for you. That is the discussion forum and the quiz 4. So if there is no question, I'll stop at that point until we meet next week.
Excuse me, Tisha.
Yes.
Where is the password?
Password nimepeana hapo kwa chat. I've given the password